What if I told you that most people waste the first and last 10 minutes of their day, and it's secretly killing their success? Worse, you're probably doing it right now without even realizing it. You've heard all the usual advice: wake up early, drink water, journal, blah, blah, blah. But what if the real secret wasn't what you do in the morning and night, but how you think during those moments? Today, we're breaking down 2 habits that don't just change your day. They rewire your entire life. And no, this isn't some fluffy self-help theory. This is about leveraging your mind like the most successful people in history. The night before. The forgotten power of reflection. Most people don't realize it, but the way you end your day is far more important than how you start it. Think about it. What do you usually do before bed? Scrolling? Worrying? Watching something random to unwind? Here's the problem. Your mind doesn't just shut off when you close your eyes. It replays, processes, and absorbs whatever you fed it last. That means if you go to bed stressed, distracted, or mindlessly consuming nonsense, you're programming yourself to wake up the same way. But what if you could flip that? What if instead of letting the day control you, you could take control of the night, and by extension, the next day? It starts with something simple but powerful: reflection. Not some long, complicated journaling ritual, just a few intentional minutes to close the day right. Here's how it works. Ask yourself 3 questions, just 3. First, what went well today? This isn't about big win. Maybe you drank enough water. Maybe you finished a task you've been putting off. Maybe you just didn't lose your temper in traffic. Whatever it is, acknowledge it. Why? Because most people skip this part. They focus on what went wrong, what they didn't do, what they failed at. But success isn't built on guilt. It's built on recognizing progress, no matter how small. Second question. What could have gone better? Notice the wording. Not what did I mess up, but what could have gone better. This shifts it from self-blame to learning. Maybe you procrastinated. Maybe you snapped at someone. Maybe you wasted time on things that didn't matter. The key here isn't to beat yourself up. It's to observe, like a scientist studying an experiment. That didn't work. What's the lesson? Third question. What's one thing I'll improve tomorrow? Just one. Not a to-do list. Not a grand plan. One thing. Maybe it's waking up 10 minutes earlier. Maybe it's not checking your phone first thing. Maybe it's being more patient with your kids. Whatever it is, lock it in. This sets your subconscious to wake up with direction. Now here's the critical part. After these questions, shut down the noise. Your brain is like a sponge at night. It soaks up whatever's around it. If you feed it chaos, news, arguments, social media drama, it'll stew in that all night. Instead, give it something calm. 5 minutes of silence. A page from a book that makes you think. Even just staring at the ceiling, breathing deeply. This isn't about relaxing. It's about clearing the mental clutter so your mind can reset. The magic of this habit isn't in the time it takes. It's in the consistency. Do this for 3 nights, and you'll notice your sleep improves. Do it for a week, and you'll start waking up clearer. Do it for a month, and you'll begin to see patterns. What's working in your life, what's not, and how small adjustments lead to big changes. But here's where most people fail. They overcomplicate it. They think they need to journal for an hour, or meditate like a monk. No, keep it simple. 3 questions, 5 minutes of quiet. That's it. The power isn't in the ritual. It's in the intention. You're not just ending your day, you're setting up the next one. And if you miss a night, no big deal. This isn't about perfection, it's about awareness. The more you do it, the more natural it becomes. Until one day, you'll catch yourself wanting to reflect before bed. Not because you have to, but because you realize how much better your days go when you do. The morning reset. How you start determines how you finish. Imagine this. You wake up, grab your phone, and immediately see a stressful email, then a notification, then a news headline. Within seconds, your mind is racing. Before you've even gotten out of bed. Sound familiar? Here's the truth. The first 10 minutes of your morning decide the next 12 hours. Most people hand that time over to the world, but successful people, they own it. So how do you reset your morning? It's not about waking up at 4 a.m. or running 5 miles. It's about control. Specifically, controlling what you let into your mind first. Think of your brain like a computer. When you start it up, you don't immediately open 20 tabs and run heavy programs. You let it load. You give it a second. Your mind works the same way. Here's a simple method. The 10-10-10 rule. First 10 minutes, no input, no phone, no emails, no noise, just you. Sit up, breathe, stretch if you want, but no distractions. This is your brain's loading time. It's shocking how many people skip this and wonder why they feel scattered all day. Next 10 minutes. Fuel your mind, not with random news or social media. With something meaningful. Read a page from a book that inspires you. Listen to a short podcast that makes you think. Even just repeating a few positive affirmations. If that's your thing. The key is intentional input. You're not consuming. You're choosing what goes in. Last 10 minutes. Plan your attack, not a to-do list. One thing that'll make today matter. What's the one task, conversation, or decision that'll move the needle? Write it down. Say it out loud. Lock it in. This focuses your brain so you don't spend the day reacting. Now here's why this works. Your mind is most impressionable in the morning. Whatever you feed it first sticks. If you start with chaos, your whole day feels chaotic. If you start with purpose, you carry that purpose forward. It's not about motivation. It's about conditioning. You're training your brain to default to focus, not frenzy. But let's be real. Some mornings you'll hit snooze. Some days you'll grab your phone without thinking. That's okay. The goal isn't perfection. It's awareness. The more you practice this, the more you'll catch yourself slipping into old habits, and the easier it becomes to course correct. The real shift happens when you realize mornings aren't just about waking up. They're about showing up for yourself first. When you own your mornings, you stop letting the world dictate your days. You stop feeling like you're always behind. Instead, you start from a place of control, clarity, and intention. And that changes everything. Why these habits work. The science of small wins. Your brain is a creature of habit. It thrives on repetition. Think about how you learned to ride a bike, tie your shoes, or even drive a car. At first, it felt awkward, maybe even impossible. But over time, something shifted. Your movements became smoother. Your confidence grew. And eventually, you didn't even have to think about it anymore. That's the power of repetition. That's how habits are formed. Now apply that to your mornings and nights. Most people assume change has to be dramatic. Big goals, massive action, total overhauls. But real transformation doesn't work like that. It happens in small, consistent steps. Do something once, and it's just an action. Do it 5 days in a row, and your brain starts to recognize it as a pattern. Do it for 30 days, and it becomes automatic, a part of who you are. This isn't just motivational talk. There's actual science behind it. Your brain has something called neuroplasticity, the ability to rewire itself based on what you do repeatedly. Every time you choose reflection over scrolling at night, or intentional silence over chaos in the morning, you're strengthening neural pathways that make those choices easier next time. It's like carving a groove in wood. The more you trace the same line, the deeper it gets, until eventually your actions flow effortlessly along that path. But here's where most people go wrong. They expect immediate result. They try a new habit for 2 days, don't see a life-changing difference, and quit. They don't realize that the magic isn't in the first few repetitions. It's in the accumulation. Success isn't built in grand gestures. It's built in tiny daily decisions that compound over time. Think of it like a snowball rolling downhill. At first, it's small, barely noticeable, but with each roll it gathers more snow, gains more momentum, until eventually, it's unstoppable. That's what these habits do. A single night of reflection won't change your life, but 100 nights, that's when you start seeing shifts in your clarity, your decision-making, your peace of mind. A single morning of intentional focus won't make you successful, but 100 mornings, that's when you realize you're no longer reacting to life, you're directing it. The key is to start so small that it feels effortless. Don't commit to an hour of journaling if you've never done it before. Start with one question at night. Don't promise yourself a full meditation session in the morning if you've never sat in silence. Start with one deep breath. The goal isn't to overwhelm yourself. It's to build the habit so subtly that your brain doesn't resist it. And here's the beautiful part. Once a habit becomes automatic, it no longer requires willpower. You don't have to convince yourself to brush your teeth. You just. The same can be true for these rituals. Over time, they stop feeling like chores and start feeling like necessities, like the mental equivalent of drinking water or breathing air. But this only works if you stay consistent. Not perfect, consistent. Miss a day? No problem. Just restart. The brain doesn't punish you for slipping up. It rewards you for returning. Every time you choose to come back to the habit, you reinforce the message. This is who I am now. So if you're waiting for motivation, stop. Motivation is fleeting. Discipline is unreliable. But systems work. These habits aren't about forcing yourself to be better. They're about creating an environment where success becomes the default. The ripple effect. How nights and mornings control your life. One missed morning doesn't seem like a big deal. One rushed night feels insignificant. But here's the truth. Small actions, repeated over time, create massive consequences. Think of your life as a river. The way you start and end your days is like the direction of the current. It determines where the entire river flows. Let's say you skip your night reflection. No big deal, right? Except now, instead of going to bed with intention, you go to bed distracted. Your mind replays the day's stress instead of processing it. You wake up feeling foggy, playing catch-up before your feet even hit the floor. That sets the tone for the entire day. You're reactive instead of proactive, scrambling instead of strategic. Now imagine that happening multiple times a week. Over time, those missed nights add up. You start noticing that your days feel chaotic. Your focus drifts. Your stress levels rise. It's not because life got harder. It's because you stopped directing your mind. You handed over control to whatever happened to be in front of you. Your phone, your emails, other people's demands. The same goes for mornings. Hit snooze once, and it's just a few extra minutes. But do it regularly, and suddenly you're always rushing, always behind, always feeling like you're running a race you didn't sign up for. Why? Because how you start your morning determines how you approach everything that follows. A distracted morning leads to a distracted day. A focused morning leads to a focused day. But here's the flip side. When you do string these habits together, something incredible happens. The effects ripple outward, touching every part of your life. Start with the night reflection. When you take those few minutes to pause, to acknowledge what worked and what didn't, you sleep differently. Your mind isn't wrestling with unresolved thoughts. You wake up clearer, more rested. That makes the morning ritual easier. When you begin the day with intention, those first 10 minutes of quiet, the next 10 of fueling your mind, the last 10 of setting your focus, you carry that energy forward. Decisions feel sharper. Productivity flows naturally. Challenges don't knock you off course as easily. And then at the end of the day, you're not collapsing into bed exhausted. You're reflecting again, reinforcing the progress, adjusting where needed. This creates a cycle, a positive loop, where each day builds on the last. The ripple effect doesn't stop there. When you're more centered, your relationships improve. When you're more focused, your work improves. When you're less reactive, your stress levels drop. It's not magic, it's cause and effect. Control your nights and mornings, and you indirectly control everything in between. But the biggest shift isn't external, it's internal. Over time, you stop seeing yourself as someone who's at the mercy of life. You start seeing yourself as someone who directs it. That confidence, that sense of agency changes everything. So if you're still on the fence, try this. For the next 5 days, commit to just one of these habits. Either the night reflection or the morning reset. Don't overthink it. Don't aim for perfection. Just do it. Then, notice what happens. You might be surprised at how quickly the ripples start to spread. The 1-minute version, for skeptics. You're busy, overwhelmed, maybe even skeptical that any of this could make a real difference in your life. I get it. When you're barely keeping up as it is, the idea of adding more to your plate, even if it's just a morning and night routine, feels impossible. But here's what most people miss. Transformation doesn't require hours of extra effort. It starts with seconds, minutes. Tiny shifts so small they barely feel like changes at all. Yet somehow they change everything. Let's strip this down to the absolute bare minimum. The version so simple even the busiest, most exhausted version of you can't say no. At night, ask yourself one question. Did I do my best today? That's it. No journaling. No overthinking. Just yes or no. And here's the crucial part. No guilt either way. This isn't about judging yourself. It's about awareness. If the answer is yes, great. If it's no, also great. Because now you know, that simple moment of honesty plants a seed. It creates a tiny space between who you were today and who you can be tomorrow. In the morning, even simpler, sit up, take one deep breath, and say today's gonna be good. Not because you have to believe it yet, but because words have power. You're setting an intention before the world gets its hands on you. That breath, it's a reset button. Those words, they're a shield against the chaos waiting to hit you the second you check your phone. This isn't some watered-down version of the real habit. This is the real habit, the core of it all, stripped down to its essence. The magic isn't in the length or complexity of your routine. It's in the consistency of showing up, even in the smallest way. Think of it like brushing your teeth. You don't debate whether to do it. You don't wait until you feel like it. You just do it, because you know what happens if you don't. These micro habits work the same way. They're mental hygiene. And here's what happens when you do this. Over time, that one question at night starts to echo in your head earlier in the day. You'll catch yourself thinking, is this really my best, before you waste an hour scrolling. That one deep breath in the morning, it becomes an anchor. On stressful days, you'll find yourself unconsciously pausing to take it. Not because you plan to, but because your body now knows this is how we start. The biggest resistance people have isn't about time. It's about belief. They don't think something so small could matter, but you don't have to believe it for it to work. You just have to try it. Really try it. For 5 days. Not perfectly, just consistently. Then notice, do you feel slightly clearer, slightly more in control? That's the proof. That's the snowball starting to roll. The trap most people fall into, and how to avoid it. There's a trap waiting for anyone who tries to build better habits. And it's not what you think. It's not failure. It's not laziness. It's perfectionism. The silent killer of progress. Here's how it works. You start strong. You're excited. You set up the perfect journal. Download the perfect app. Buy the perfect alarm clock. Day 1 goes great. Day 2, you're still on track. Then day 3 comes, and you oversleep. Or you forget to reflect at night. Or you do it but it feels rushed, half-hearted. This is the moment that decides everything. Most people see this as proof they can't do it. They think I messed up, so why bother? And quit. But here's the truth they miss. The habit isn't the routine. It's the return. The practice isn't in doing it perfectly every time. It's in coming back every time you slip. Think about learning to walk. Babies don't take 3 steps, fall and go, "Welp, I guess walking isn't for me." They fall 100 times and get up 101. That's how habits are built. Not in a straight line, but in a spiral. You circle back again and again. Each time with slightly more strength, slightly more understanding. The trap is believing that consistency means never missing a day. That's impossible. Real consistency means never letting one miss turn into 2, then 3, then never. It means treating yourself like someone you're responsible for, helping with patience, but also with firmness. Would you tell a friend who missed one workout to quit the gym entirely? Of course not. You'd tell them to go tomorrow. Apply that same logic here. Here's how to avoid the trap. Lower the bar. If you miss your night reflection, don't try to make up for it with an extra long session next time. Just do the one question version. If you sleep through your morning routine, don't skip it entirely. Take that one breath whenever you remember. Track streaks, not slips. Focus on how many times you've done the habit, not how many times you haven't. Even if it's just 3 days in a row, that's 3 more than before. Remember the why. On days when it feels pointless, remind yourself, this isn't about today, it's about who you're becoming a year from now. The people who succeed with habits aren't the ones with the most discipline, they're the ones who've learned to restart the fastest. They know that every great life is built, not on perfect days, but on imperfect days that didn't stop them. That's the only failure that matters. Not stumbling, but staying down. So when, not if, you miss a day, say this: interesting, let's see what happens tomorrow. Then go to bed, wake up, and begin again. That's the secret. That's how ordinary people build extraordinary lives. One restart at a time. Real life results. What happens after 30 days is nothing in the grand scheme of life. A blink. A single page in a long book. But here's the strange truth. 30 days is also enough to change everything. Not because some magical switch flips at day 30, But because by then, something subtle has shifted. The habits you've been practicing, those small, seemingly insignificant rituals, have started to rewrite your default settings. At first, it's mechanical. You force yourself to ask that one question at night. You drag yourself to sit up and take that breath in the morning. It feels awkward, maybe even pointless. But around day 10, something happens. You notice that on nights when you skip the reflection, sleep doesn't come as easily. Your mind races in circles, replaying the day's unfinished business. And on mornings when you reach for your phone first thing, the whole day feels scattered, like you're playing catch-up before you've even started. By day 20, it's no longer something you have to do. It's something you want to do. Not because you're disciplined, but because you feel the difference. Those few minutes of quiet at night become a sanctuary, not a chore. That deep breath in the morning, it's no longer just a breath, it's a reclaiming of your own mind before the world gets its hands on it. And then day 30 arrives. You don't wake up a new person. You don't suddenly have all the answers. But you realize something. The chaos doesn't control you like it used to. When stress hits, you pause instead of react. When distractions come, you notice them faster. The noise is still there. The deadlines, the demands, the endless stream of things vying for your attention. But it doesn't pull you under the way it once did. Here's what that looks like in real life. You start catching yourself before you spiral into frustration. That thing that would have ruined your day last month. Now you take a breath, recalibrate, and move forward. Decisions come easier. Not because life got simpler, but because your mind got clearer. You waste less time on things that don't matter. People around you know they can't quite put their finger on what's different, but they see it, the calm, the focus, the way you don't get dragged into every little drama. But the most surprising change isn't in your routine, it's in your identity. Without realizing it, you've stopped seeing yourself as someone who's always overwhelmed, always behind. You start seeing yourself as someone who handles things, not perfectly, but differently. And that shift, that quiet confidence, is what changes everything else. The secret most motivational speakers won't tell you. Motivation is a liar. It shows up in bursts, after a powerful speech, an inspiring movie, a moment of frustration, and convinces you this time will be different. But like a sugar rush, it fades. The energy drains, the excitement wears off, and then you're left with the same old challenge. Showing up when you don't feel like it. That's the secret no one talks about. The people who succeed long-term aren't the ones who are always motivated. They're the ones who've built systems that work even when motivation is gone. Systems don't care how you feel. They don't require inspiration. They just require you to follow the steps. These habits, the night reflection, the morning reset, aren't about motivation. They're about automation. You're not trying to convince yourself to be better every single day. You're programming your mind to default to clarity, focus, and intention without having to think about it. Think of it like driving. When you first learned, every action required thought, checking mirrors, adjusting speed, signaling turns. Now, you do it all without conscious effort. The skill hasn't just been learned, it's been embedded. That's what happens with these habits. Over time, they stop being something you do and start being something you are. The trap is believing you need to feel ready to start. You don't. You just need to start. The feeling follows the action, not the other way around. That's why the most successful people look like they have more willpower. They don't. They just have better systems. They've removed the need to decide. Here's the truth. Motivation is optional. Discipline is unreliable. But a well-designed system, that's unstoppable. Because when the habit is strong enough, not doing it feels worse than doing it. Skipping your night reflection leaves your mind restless. Missing your morning reset makes the day feel off. The system protects you from yourself, from your excuses, your tiredness, your moments of weakness. So if you're waiting to feel like changing, stop. You don't need more motivation. You need better defaults. Build the system. Trust the process. Let the results speak for themselves. But what if I'm already overwhelmed? My friend, I hear you. That heavy feeling when you wake up. The weight of responsibilities already pressing down before your feet hit the floor. The endless lists. The commitments. The sense that you're running behind before you've even started. And now here I am suggesting you add something else to your day. That would be foolish advice indeed. But let me share with you what I've learned after decades of studying success. When you're stretched too thin, the answer isn't to move faster. The answer is to pause, to plant your feet firmly, and catch your breath. These habits we're discussing aren't about adding to your burdens. They're about lightening your load. Try this right now, wherever you are. Take one deep, slow breath in through your nose. Feel your chest expand. Now let it out gently. That took, 3 seconds? And in those 3 seconds, something remarkable happened. Your mind cleared. Just a little. The tightness in your shoulders eased. You remembered that beneath all the doing, you are still a human being, not just a human doing. When you're overwhelmed, start smaller than small. At night, before you turn out the light, ask yourself one simple question. Did I move forward today? Not did you conquer the world. Not did you check everything off some impossible list. Just, did you move forward? Even an inch counts. In the morning before you begin the rush, stand up straight. Take that same deep breath and say to yourself, today matters. Not because it has to be perfect, but because it's yours. These aren't new tasks to complete. They're moments of remembrance, brief pauses where you reconnect with yourself before re-engaging with the world. And here's the miracle. These small pauses begin to change how you experience everything else. That morning breath becomes a moment of clarity before making decisions. That evening question starts quietly guiding your choices throughout the day. The truth is, you don't need more time. You need more presence. And presence begins with these simple acts of remembering who you are and what really matters. The ultimate mind shift. Let me tell you something that might surprise you. Successful people don't have more hours in their day than you do. They don't possess some magical ability to stretch time. What they have is a different understanding, a fundamental recognition that some things simply aren't optional. You don't find time to eat. You don't fit in sleeping. These things happen because your body demands them. In the same way, the habits that shape your destiny must move from the category of nice to do to must do. This isn't about willpower. It's about wisdom, about recognizing that how you start and end your day isn't just another activity. It's the foundation upon which everything else is built. When you understand this at a deep level, your behavior changes naturally. Here's what this looks like in practice. The evening reflection stops being something you might do and becomes as natural as locking your door at night. It's simply what responsible people do. The morning ritual becomes like washing your face. You wouldn't start your day without it, because it's part of preparing yourself to meet the world. The shift happens when you stop seeing these habits as additions to your life and start seeing them as essential maintenance for your most valuable asset. Your mind, your spirit, your capacity to create and contribute. And here's the greatest return on investment you'll ever find. While markets rise and fall, while external circumstances change, the consistent daily investment in yourself compounds in ways nothing else can. Each morning's intention, each evening's reflection, these are deposits in the bank of your character, your competence, your future. So tonight, as you prepare to rest, ask yourself this: what kind of person am I becoming? Then tomorrow morning, wake up and be that person. Not through some grand gesture, but through the quiet, powerful decision that some things are simply beneath the dignity of the person you're committed to being. That's where real change begins. So here's the deal. Tonight, before you scroll or sleep, ask yourself one question. Tomorrow, before you check your phone, take one breath. Do that, and you're already ahead of